And I will begin to share now. And the first slide is, I'm sure it's, are you guys, can you see or not?
Yep, we
With
can
the
see.
other side. So so first, why do we need to understand how it works? Because there is a comparison between Jesus' disciples and Jesus himself. Because the disciples did not understand what was going on. So even though they listened and lived with Jesus for 3 years, they still, and even Jesus gave them power in person, they still ended up person worship, and they failed to achieve the experience of enlightenment. While Jesus, on the other hand, was shown how the creative power worked, and saw the subatomic level of matter and understood the nature of the creative power. So he achieved total commitment and conviction, 100% faith. So he transcended humanhood in the end. So what is going right now? The consciousness has become a very popular word, and scientists have now begun to ask questions whether consciousness is more fundamental than any other matter. So for example, Michael Levin's lab in Tufts University, they found that, I'm going to show the next form. So they found with this worm, I forgot what the name of the worm. So when they cut, so you can see when they cut the head into 3 sections and applying the electric field for the head area, the worm become a two head worm. And when they apply the tail electric field signals, they have those kind of they have this iron something, they can mimic the electric field of the head and the tail to the middle section. And this one become a no head worm, both tails. So that means this is all done without changing any DNA or genetics or proteins. It's all just electric manipulation. Another person is Donald Hoffman. He's very hot on the YouTube. You can see he's trying to build, he's from University of California as a psychologist and a neurologist. And he's trying to build a mathematical model for consciousness. He has done 22 years of meditation. He's believing that matter is a user interface, like a computer user. It's hiding the basic level of the underlying electric magnetic 0101 coding. So it's trying to build a model for consciousness that way. And another one is Nobel Prize laureate Roger Penrose. He is famous for his mathematics model of tiling. Like he has discovered that with mere two types of shapes, you could expand the shape, non-repeating the pattern to infinitely. So with two, so you will this reminds us of the basic interaction of the impulses are two forms. So he's also everywhere on the YouTube talking about consciousness. So, and they are all thinking that the current quantum theory is very limited. Anyway, and this one, I'm going to tell you why I'm using. So this David Lapointe, he's an engineer in high energy study. he said he was revealed with mental images of two bow-like magnetic fields, and he did a lot of experiment with this shape of magnetic fields. This is the north, this is the south, but it's bow-like. It's not the bar-like usually taught in the textbook. And he found that this bow-like magnetic field has a therapeutic power if you move it. So if you turning this thing, it can actually take away your pain. He was in pain before. That's how he was given this image, and then that's how he found his pain or gone while he was doing all the experiment. This shape is very similar to what the astronaut and found in the Milky Way. This is the Milky Way, our Milky Way, the entire universe, right? This is the, and there are two gigantic bubbles of lights emitted from this Milky Way. So this shape is very similar to this shape. So that's why I am going to use this symbol to represent the impulse of will with the electronic power as tool. This is like a spring, so it can vibrate. This is very similar to what the scientist, the physicist who has trying to teach people how the electrons and the magnetic works. They use a similar symbol, so I'm just use the same symbol. And this is so it has a direction. That's because this impulse wanted to explore. And I'm going to use this symbol as the impulse of purpose with magnetic power as tool. So it's very similar to what this our universe look like with this magnetic field, light emission, because of so I'm going to say at the beginning, so as Christ's letter taught us that at the beginning, there is an equilibrium of impulses of intentions, impulse of will and purpose. They're in equilibrium, connected with each other, restraining each other. So they're all connected. They're restrained with each other, so they cannot move around. That's what Christ's letter told us, that it's just like the hand, two palms holding with each other, hold tight with each other. So this impulse of will and this impulse of will is restrained by impulse of purpose. At some point, so this thing with this, the original intentions, at some point they had an explosion, right? Because the impulse of will wanted to go out and explore, so they had explosion. Once they have explosion, it's broken. So the consciousness, the original consciousness had expansion. That's how the space is created. And this impulse of, some of the impulse of will and some of the impulse of purpose, they are released into the space. that Christ told us that they were chaos for eons, right? This impulse of will and the impulse of purpose, they're on their own. They didn't know what to do. They have no impression, have no blueprint. And then some of the impulse reunite with each other, right? They form. So some of the impulse they reunite, they wanted to have that joy. They at the beginning of, I mean, when they were united, they had that joy for status. So they wanted to have that. They reunited and forming divine consciousness. Some of the other impulses form charged particles, right? That's when the eyelids come through, and the impulse of will, they form charged electrons and charged protons. For the proton, the will, impulse of purpose come to bind it, so it forms a visible form of atoms. So because they united, so within the space, materials, electron particles, they are at the bottom. So energy-wise, because they are not connected together. So when they were totally connected, this is a high potential energy, because they are, you see the strands, they're very strained, they all connected. So when they are released, this vibration frequency will become lower. So it's less energy. So when we talk about energy, do you guys remember that energy equals H gamma with a constant times the vibration frequency? So when they are totally restrained with each other, it's like this brain. It's like this brain is totally stretched. The what is it? Rubber band totally stretched, right? That's the highest level of energy. When you release the rubber band, they're loose, but they can vibrate now. They can vibrate at lower frequency, but it has lower energy. And the other example you can remember is the our electricity has a vibration frequency, like in US, it's 60 hertz. So that's it's pretty fast, but considering with this, it's not fast. So we have in space, the divine consciousness will be, they are formed by lower, still higher and higher impulses. I think this understanding was given to me. I mean, it's just that with the higher frequency, there are more and more impulses. They were formed, reunited to higher and higher divine consciousness. They're all comprised of the impulses. With materials world, we have less impulses of those intentions. Less, so we formed the visible form, but for the divine consciousness, they reform with some kind of individual patterns. It's like you can think about snowflakes. They can crystallize into different forms. many different forms. So this is a lower divine conscious frequency with less impulses of, and gradually you have more, they're more unified, more harmonized. I'm not talking. So with this, the quantum theory is why this, they were saying that photons are having both particle and wave function, but with our with this Christ letters information, we could say the photons is not a wave. Photon power is still a particle because when they cross through space, it's like cross through the water. It will stimulate the consciousness of the prime consciousness. So it's like, and change the path, change the photons path, and shows interference of a pattern. It's not really like the photon is both wave and particle. It's just the space is filled with the prime impulses, right? Space is not empty. With this, the prime impulses have electronic and magnetic properties included. So that's why these photons could be, when they travel through the space, their behavior will be changed by the space. The other one is the constant. I don't know, I'm just saying the constant of electromagnetic field, they could, right now they measured is 1/137, but when they increase energy, this level could be 1. So that also proves that Christ letters is correct. There are two impulses interact with each other, and they don't have a unit. So it's just a number. So that because they're constantly, they just always interact with each other. And at the high space energy, it becomes 1/1. So in summarize, so the universal consciousness, its will and purpose, activity and love, they are mutually restraining each other. And then they have explosion, and the consciousness expands. And one part of this impulses becomes divine consciousness. And the other part of this, the released impulses becomes matter. And the divine consciousness, they have that impulse. So the impulse of will and impulse of love, they're not mutually restrained anymore. They are having a direction. So the intelligent activity leads, the impulse love forms life force, right? The life force interact with matter, become biological life. And biological life, under the guise of life force, will go back to become experienced transcendent divine consciousness. So our biological life gives this life force experience, go back to their divine consciousness again. At the same time, our biological life draws the divine life force and to radiate love to the non-conscious matter. I mean, it should be not, it's just not initiated matter, and to radiate love to them so they could become more stable. That's our life purpose. This is quantum theory. I'm going to jump. People don't know what it means with those 1/37. So, because the physicists don't know what it means. Now we're from Christ letters, we know what it means. It means the father-mother interaction always. So divine consciousness, this is what it is. Divine intelligent activity, and which is followed by love with a direction. It's not mutually restraining anymore. It's with a life force direction, and it comes in and build individual cell electric magnetic fields, and which also gives emotion and magnetic impulses, and also interact with already the cellular plan and give individual mindset emotional patterns. So letter 7, page 254. So this Christ letter, Christ actually literally told us that these electric magnetic fields surrounding every living thing are the personal life force, radiations from the soul combined with personal consciousness, awareness, radiation of the entity, mental, electric, and the emotional magnetic bonding rejection impulses. So when the life force enters the individual, the sperm and ovum, and that is when that becomes the soul, right? So that's how it works. So this is a scientific result. People have measured that they are electricities around our body. This is how the electricity waves looks like. This is voltage. So this is all true. And also magnetic fields around our body. Willpower. So the original, I'm just going to show how the emotions, positive emotions and the negative emotions changes our original magnetic fields, electronic magnetic fields. Because if you have a positive emotion, the magnetic field, if this is original life force, right, electricity, it will generate magnetic field, which will be our emotional field. So if we have a positive emotion, it will increase the magnetic field in this way, right? This direction. And it will enhance this original electricity, the original creative power electricity. However, if we have negative emotional change, this magnetic field is reduced because it's emotion. You will generate this reduced magnetic field. This change in direction, the reduced magnetic field will generate a current that's opposite to the original creative power. So that's how our vibration frequency is reduced, our energy is depleted. So Christ literally told us that if we interact with a negative person, I mean, if we are emotionally drawn to the negative personality, if we are emotionally dragging down by people's emotion, then it will be reducing our electrical magnetic field. That's how our energy and the frequency will be reduced. So the next part is I'm going to talk, the next part is about the habit, how the body is built, how the body builds a habit. The first principle is least action law. So if a person see a drowning person in the water, he is not going to run a straight line to the person, because this in the water now is a long distance, right? So it takes a longer time. So he's not going to run like just because he want to reduce the distance in the water, because he's not going to do a 90-degree just to have the minimum distance in the water. He's going to choose a line in the middle that this is actually the line that takes the least amount of time to reach the drowning person. This is how a light reaches a object in the water. So a light. So what do you think the light has? The light has consciousness. It knows before it goes out to the position B that the light chooses the route that has the minimum time. So Richard Feynman, he's a Nobel Prize winner in 1962. He discovered that all objects moving in the space takes a route that consumes minimum energy. So it's as if all objects has consciousness. They knows what to do, what at each point, which route to choose. So this is the only route that takes the minimum energy. So that's only one route. You can't choose any other one. I mean, that's only that one route would take the minimum energy. So that's our brain works the same thing. So in two patients, helped scientists discover that. So this 1983, a patient is Eugene. He had a virus, encephalitis. It destroys this area of the brain, and he can remember past events, but he can't remember new things. He could learn things every day, but he will learn one new thing, but he will not remember it. So when he works, but one day, even though he don't remember the map, what his neighborhood was, he actually take a walk and get home correctly. So people were wondering, how did he remember this route? How did he get to go home without even knowing where he lives? And so scientists discovered that people have muscle memory, have subconscious, you can learn subconsciously. Another person is it's called HM. He was surgically removed. His hippocampus was surgically removed, and his past events, non-memory, were all gone. But he can learn new things. Every day he learns new things, but every day is a new day. He has to repeatedly remember everything. So he can't take care of himself. He forgot how to, wear clothes, how to eat certain food, how to open a door at the door. He has to stand there, think about use the right hand or left hand, to, he just, all the past memories are gone. So this area is the hippocampus. So so scientists know that our brain works similarly, like say it stores behaviors, the repetitive behaviors into certain areas, and you will become, they are no longer consciously recorded by our brain. So they found that this basal ganglia membrane is for storing all the past learnings, past behaviors. That it's not only, that's why Christ letters told us that the ego is a nucleus, contains a nucleus set of behaviors, mindset, and emotional pattern. It's not everything is bad, because it's only because otherwise you cannot survive. You have to, you have to learn things every day. You don't remember anything. So this basal ganglia is the area that controls animals' basic automatic behaviors. So even we actually, as a baby, we learn how to speak, we learn how to control muscles, we learn how to walk. Those are all learned behaviors. They're all stored in the brain. And when we talk about ego, this little ego contains all those set of behaviors. It's not, so when we say ego, we condescending, but really it's actually help us. But it's just some of the impulses. We also had learned a lot of selfish impulses, right? To satisfy our certain emotions, right? So that's why our consciousness is not perfect. But so here's another thing, how the scientists did experiment, how the brain learn new things. So they have the mouse, they give the chocolate at the corner of the wall, and when they click, the mouse begin to walk to find the chocolate. At the beginning, the first time, the mouse would have very excited brain waves all over the place. Then after several times repeatedly, the brains that the energy level become less and less. So the mouse is no longer excited. He just boom. Once you click, he just boom run directly to the chocolate. So he no longer wastes energy to try to look for which way. So this is how the brain saves energy. And when they found chocolate, he's excited again. So scientists says that's how we form habits. So we have a cue, like the mouse, click, the boom, and then we have a reward right there. So and you go a routine and find the reward, then that's a habit loop. And after a while, this habit loop will be saved into the uh, ganglia area, basal ganglia area. So this is formed to save energy of the brain. So when the behavior is repeated a certain number of times, it's restored. It's stored as a habit loop in the brain. I mean, I don't know whether it's in the brain, but it's accessible through the basal ganglia. And with the trigger, the behavior is automatic. So it will just, even later, even the mouse know that this is a poison, he will still go there, eat it. It's just so automatic. You know, when you have a cue, a click, the mouse boom, still go there and eat a poison chocolate. And that's why this loop is not perfect, but it saves energy though. So a good habit saves efforts, but a bad habit is very hard to correct because it become unconscious. It's not in our, we just do it automatically. We don't have we don't even think about it. So after the loop is formed, the cerebral brain and other area, they no longer participate. So if we form a habit that's controlled by our emotion, you remember the change of emotion will reduce the original life force. The change of emotion, if you reduce it, if it's a happy emotion, then that's fine. That will enhance the life force. But if you have a negative emotion, if it's a change of emotion, then it will reduce the life force in our body. So we'll get sick. Only if we, and the life force itself, this is a father mother life force, right? It cannot perform what they intended to do. I guess I finished in time. That's good. You guys can, we can still have a you know, we can have individual things. Any questions you want to ask?
Well, I'm wondering, just to make sure that everybody has a chance to ask questions and comment, if we could use our regular circle method, so that we disrupt some or two, three people maybe dominating and the other people are listening. So how about we do that? And so who I see on the screen first is Wally. What's your response, your comments to this presentation, or if you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Jay, for the presentation. Really appreciated what you've done this evening. For me, it just triggered an old memory of something I watched on quantum physics, and maybe I'll just suggest maybe people could watch it as well. It's a documentary stroke movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? So you could find it on Amazon. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And in the movie, it talks a lot about the energy fields, quantum science, in such a funny, animated, simple way of understanding it. And it all just ties in together with what G is sharing with us today. So that's just what came to mind for me, really. So I'll just suggest maybe people can look into it. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think the quantum theory is like in let's say in that in the quantum field there's all different it's all possibilities, and so it has this, and if our consciousness looks at it, it will collapse the possibility into a particle, so it will realize into like a reality, into a matter or something.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then in the movie as well, they sort of did an animation when the person was positive. You could see how the cells were glowing and changing, and then when the person was annoyed as well, you could see how the cells within the body started having this gloomy and dark feel to it and everything. It's one to just for people to just maybe just when they get an opportunity to watch for an hour and a half or so. I think it ties in with everything you're sharing with us here from that
yeah,
theoretical view. Yeah.
yeah. Well, quantum fields is it doesn't talk about divine consciousness. Actually, the Chrysler's wanted us to know it's actually the divine consciousness. It has intention, and the field, the universal consciousness, also has consciousness, and it's not random. It's not I mean, it is all possibility, but it's not random. So the divine consciousness introduced the divine consciousness has a plan. Our biologic form, the first is the cell. The cell is not as formed by the divine consciousness. It's not us. It's not a random thing. It's not our human consciousness. Look at the quantum field and materialize the thing. It's actually the divine consciousness, the life force. has a plan that worked with the matter to form a biology. So everything that's why we have to do it through life force. We cannot, even though our consciousness can negatively impact the life force work, we cannot create, like, we cannot actually create. We can negatively impact the life force work, I believe, but we cannot create matter. We cannot create matter. We can attract things that happen to us. We cannot create matter like this, like what the quantum theory is talking about.
Well, that's beautiful. Martha, do you have comments, questions?
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Martha.
Thank you so much for this. You still there was a lot I didn't understand, but because it's not really my background, but I like the way that you broke this down. It was very orderly and clear and concise. It's just that it's all expressed in a new way. So actually I was going to ask if maybe we could do this if you could do the same presentation maybe every few months or something, because I was just thinking as everybody's understanding grows, there's just more that we could understand from it. Right from the beginning, you said that when we radiate love, matter becomes I'm not sure if when we radiate love or when love is radiated, matter becomes more stable. Could that be kind of explained as matter becomes more healthy or more calmed down or something like that? Would that be like an example of when we radiate love or when